Oh my god. This flight is a mess.
G'day everyone and welcome back to my channel. You're joining me on what is one of the most anticipated trip reports ever in a long while. We begin this video at Melbourne's Tullamarine Airport, so let's head there right now.
And that's right guys, I'm standing right here in Melbourne Tulla, ready to embark on another one of my journeys. Now, I'm super pumped today because I'm not heading for Terminal 4. I'm also not heading for Terminal 3. Terminal 1 is behind me, that's the Qantas terminal. I'm also not heading there. I'm actually heading for Terminal 2, and that could only mean one thing. International flying! Woohoo! This is the first time I'm heading overseas in 3 years. The last time I did it was in July 2019, and then the world kind of went to shit afterwards and we all got close into Australia. We were unable to travel. Yeah, so after 3 years, I'm finally heading overseas, crossing an international border for one of my epic trips. This trip will hold several firsts for me. This is the first time I'm cracking this passport open, so I'm using this passport for the first time. I'm also traveling for the first time as an Australian citizen. Yep, that's right, you heard right. Newly minted Aussie. I'm about probably 15-16 weeks into my life as an Australian, so yeah, first time traveling as an Australian, and this is also my first time traveling on a Boeing 787. I'm flying Jetstar from Melbourne to Singapore, so yeah, I'm pretty late to the 787 party, so I'm pretty keen to see what the experience is like. Okay, so let me just stop rambling and just head into the check-in now because I cannot wait to get this journey started. So come along with me and join me on this experience. Let's go.
If you're new to my channel, my name's Ryan, and I create heaps of travel and food related content. On this trip, I'll be traveling through Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, so you know a whole batch of videos are going to be pumped out from this trip. Hit the subscribe button and bell icon if you do not want to miss out on any episodes coming out of this holiday of mine. Aussie air travel is presently in a state of utter chaos, especially surrounding the major airports of Melbourne and Sydney. Our international borders opened in March 2021, and it seems like we were ill-prepared for this to happen. You'd think 6 months down the road we'd have issues like lack of staff all sorted. Nope. We're pretty much still in the midst of a severe labour crunch, so it's very common to hear of passengers losing their bags, cargo not being loaded on time, aircraft arriving at gates with no one to connect air bridges, severe delays, or just flights being cancelled at the last minute. The gist of it all is fly at your own risk and make sure your travel insurance has adequate coverage. So nothing's wrong with my flight so far, right? Right?
Oh my god. This flight is a mess. A Singapore to Melbourne flight was cancelled yesterday. Or was there a cancellation from Melbourne to Singapore? Anyway, one of the JQ7 flights was cancelled. So a lot of passengers have been piled into this flight. I didn't only lose my seat assignment. They were gonna downgrade me to economy class. So they were trying their best to keep me in business. So now, instead of getting my original seat, which was an aisle, I'm now seated right in the front, seat 1E, which is plunked right in the middle of the cabin with 2 passengers next to me. So that's going to be interesting, but at least I'm getting on a flight. So I explained to them that I'm a YouTuber, that I specifically chose this flight. I mean, what else could they do? They were going to get me a window seat, reshuffle someone to get me a window seat, but it was going to be a downgrade to economy. So nah, not going to happen. But anyway, it is what it is. At least I'm getting on a flight. So yeah, this is an interesting start to this whole journey. Like, jeez. Wow.
So this is what I meant by travel chaos. I noticed those of us who were booked on today's JQ7 service all lost our seat assignments in an effort to accommodate the stranded travelers from yesterday's flight. Jetstar tempted us with meal vouchers, which was useless to me because I had lounge access privileges anyway, plus a flight credit refund of the fare difference. Some business class passengers on today's flight weren't even offered an option. They were just downgraded straight away. There were also a lot of business class passengers from yesterday's flight flying in economy too. So perhaps my GoPro helped in saving me some grief. I could only speculate. If you're flying Jetstar in business class or have the appropriate Qantas status tier and club membership, you're invited into the Qantas Business Lounge before the flight. Since this lounge is located in what seemed like a dungeon of an underbelly clandestine establishment, there are no windows to look out of. It's fairly busy this morning, but it's quiet, and there are no noisy children breaking the peace. Perhaps everyone is seething in a silent anger at their own travel chaos story. While they seethe, I help myself to some breakfast because I'm always hungry. And I love these tasty sausagey things. Yum! It's highly likely the cabin crew were going to be facing an entire cabin of dissatisfied passengers looking at what happened this morning. So I thought, in a world where we can choose to be anything, I choose to be kind. So I bought these for them because they were going to be earning hard for their keeps today.
That's just some gifts for the crew. So hopefully they treat me well in the plane.
Flight JQ7 boarded this morning from Gate 14. It's one of the worst gates in Melbourne Tulla if you're hoping to catch a glimpse of your aircraft. Because you can't. You'd only catch the tip of the aircraft's tail like the ear tip of Dr. Spock. A teeny tiny little tip. No one was smiling. Suppose if you were delayed from yesterday's flight, you'd look like a wet soggy piece of tea towel too, looking all defeated in a battle with Australia's current travel situation.
Business, boarding business class, just take a seat if you're not those seats, please.
You heard her. Priority boarding was strictly enforced today, and the gate agents had to hold back an eager crowd, hungry to get their flight started. To get out of this hellhole, towards a comforting, sweaty confines of a hawker center in Singapore, tucking into a plate of succulent chicken rice. Damn, even I'm getting hungry scripting this voiceover. Our ride assigned to take us on this flight to Singapore is Victor Kilo Echo, a Boeing 787-8 which first flew in April 2014, making her about 8.5 years old at the time of writing. This aircraft was stored in Alice Springs at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic from February 2021 and was recently brought back to service this year in June. Welcome on board the business class cabin on Jetstar's Boeing 787. I thought it looks like a sophisticated back alley club in a gentrified meatpacking blue-collar district, bathed in a serious black and grey interior with orange highlights. It was surprisingly pleasing to the eye. It's configured in 3 rows of 2-3-2, giving us a total of 21 seats. Being seated in a middle bulkhead seat, leg space isn't an issue, whereas the regular pitch behind me is at 38 inches. There are seat controls for your backrest and footrest, and the armrest is where you'll find the IFE remote control, a USB Type-A charger, and a universal power socket beneath it. Placed on our seat, we have a very plush pillow, an Amenity Kit which I will go through later in flight, and a blanket. Impressively, we were provided a menu, and the options looked very tempting indeed. Our orders for after takeoff bar service and meal options were taken. Yes, you heard right. There's a bar service. Welcome drinks were also given out, a choice of sparkling wine, OJ or water. I noted that I was addressed by my name throughout. Not bad. So far, so good. These seats are actually similar to what you'd find on a business class on a 737. They are extremely comfortable for a daytime flight like this with generous recline. But I'd hesitate to do this on an overnight red-eye because I think I'm too old to be attempting sleep sitting up like this. Our scheduled pushback time for JQ7 was 12:10 p.m. 2 passengers failed to board, so Jetstar had to dig through the cargo hold for their check-in bags. Problem is, there was no one available to do it. By then, we also lost our slot to pushback. By the time everything was sorted, we finally got going at 1:05 p.m, almost an hour late. As the engines spooled up and pushed us along, I wish I could describe what was going on outside the aircraft. But I have no idea which runway we departed from or whose house we flew over. Our flight path today took us initially towards Adelaide, where I departed from a few days before. Then flying over the vastness that is Western Australia. We trek over Bali, passing Surabaya and approaching Singapore from the Riau archipelago, clocking a distance of just over 6,000 kilometers and a flight time of 7 hours 30 minutes. The cabin crew on JQ7 is Singapore-based. Even though they work for Jetstar, they are really cut from a different cloth. Their service demeanor is a little formal as they address us by name, bowing gently as they oblige to our requests, and even the language used is carefully thought out. Would you like? Can I get you? Certainly, sir. Dare I say, there is a hint of Singapore Airlines in them. I really wonder if they are trained by instructors who used to work for SQ. For someone like me who flies Jetstar very often domestically, this feels like a different airline altogether. For the last 3 years flying from Melbourne, this is normally the time we descend for my home airport in Adelaide. But today, we push on and we are served an impressive-looking lunch of lamb shanks. It came accompanied by a stingy serve of salad, a slice of sourdough, and a box of orange almond cake. Some might laugh at the small serve of this so-called salad, but at least it was very fresh, and with the vinaigrette dressing, it certainly was a great way to start the meal. And this lamb shank with mashed potato and vegetables. It was very fork tender and seasoned incredibly well. The onion gravy was flavorful, and this was an overall superb in-flight catering. Who would have thought I'd be singing praises about catering on Jetstar, a low-cost airline? This is my first time on a Boeing 787, so I really wanted to play with the electronic window shades. But instead, I get to explore the confines of this toilet. I was hoping I'd get a loo with a window so I can finger the shading dial, but no such luck. I have a thing for watching British actors put on an American accent. They must all use the same voice coach. So, Doctor Strange kept me entertained. These noise-cancelling headphones are decent as long as you're not expecting a Bose. Throughout the flight, you're able to ask for anything to snack on or drink. In my case, a cup of tea was served to me from a tray out of camera view. once again emphasizing the formal undertones of service protocol on this flight. The drink came accompanied by a little piece of chocolate, which was a nice touch. By the time Dr. Stephen Strange saved the world and this Marvel episode finished with the usual open-ended conclusion, we were just coasting into the state of Western Australia. Yes, Australia is that big. After lunch and one full movie later, we're not even coasting out of the country. The sector between Singapore and Melbourne is a very busy one, being served by Jetstar, Qantas, Singapore Airlines and Scoot. With travel restrictions gone between Singapore and Australia, there are now about 4 daily flights from Singapore Airlines alone, so you can imagine the traffic volume. Several other airlines have also tried their hand at fifth freedom flights on this sector, like Gulf Air, Austrian Airlines, Emirates, Egypt Air, all with varying degrees of success. Let's have a look at the Amenity Kit. It came with a blow-up neck pillow, a pair of socks, eye shades, earbuds, a pen to scribble naughty notes on toilet walls, I'm kidding, and a toothbrush set. All this came in a stylish tote bag so you can walk to the supermarket looking like an auntie on a mission to get the freshest bananas. With footrest fully deployed and seats reclined, this business class product is perfect for a day flight snoozing the time away. With a full tummy from the lunch earlier, I slipped very easily into dreamland thinking about all the food I was about to eat for the week ahead on my holiday. Make sure you subscribe to follow my culinary adventure, okay? Food. When I awoke, I saw that we had actually departed from Vietnam. A few seconds of panic set in as I tried to get my bearings. Was this a dream? By now, we're halfway through Indonesian airspace, so that meant a pre-landing meal. We had a choice between a vegetable pie or quesadillas. Once again, this was a generous serve which came with a slice of sourdough and a cake. The pie was as decent as a microwave pie could get. I did the Aussie thing of smearing tomato sauce all over it before taking a huge delicious bite. You really cannot accuse Jetstar of starving you to death because I've been really well fed till now. With the flight drawing to a close, it is time for my conclusion on this flight experience on JQ7. With all the chaos surrounding Melbourne airport operations, it could have easily gone so wrong. But the in-flight service by the cabin crew today proved that no matter how crappy your day was, they're there to make sure your onward experience is as smooth as a baby's bottom. Because of our delay, my seat neighbour was worried about her tight connection in Changi. The cabin manager went back and forth between her and the cockpit trying to get as much information as possible before coming back and assuring my neighbour she would be moved to a seat next to the door so she can be the first one off the plane after landing. The manager didn't have to care. My neighbour's connecting flight wasn't even with Jetstar or Qantas. But the manager was reassuring throughout her interaction, even lowering herself to make sure she was at eye level with my worried neighbour. At times, even kneeling on the cabin floor, gently explaining the situation and making sure everything was okay. And these traits are a hallmark of a stringent training routine by Singapore Airlines. I know this because I used to work for that said airline, which is why I highly suspect the Singapore-based crew have been trained by industry insiders who used to work for SQ, or these cabin crew used to fly with SQ themselves. I'm happy to be corrected. Either way, the Australian-based Jetstar cabin crew are no match when it comes to service compared to the crew on JQ7, which is why I would definitely be back on this flight. And I'll even risk going through the chaos of Melbourne Tullamarine. For now, I'm eager to arrive into Singapore, so let's step into Singapore Changi International Airport.
Seat to stay switched off until you at the terminal building. Smoking is not permitted in the terminals. Whether you're flying again today, tomorrow, or into the future, we look forward to seeing you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for everything.
No worries. See you online. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Oh my god, I am so excited. Welcome to Singapore, everyone. That was a fantastic flight with Jetstar. I cannot believe I'm back after 3 long years. I'm finally back in Singapore, and this is Changi Airport. The smell, the scent of walking through Changi Airport. It smells so familiar. So yeah, my heart is beating a million miles an hour because I'm back in motherland. Yeah. So now I'm going to go through immigration for the first time. As an Australian citizen, I'm going to use my Australian passport to go through the Singapore immigration. This feels so weird. And here we are with my Australian passport, first time into Singapore, and I am officially stamped in. Welcome to the island nation of Singapore. The humidity is inescapable, even in the air conditioning. Yeah, so here I am. And today, the 29th of August, is the first day that the mandatory mask mandates have been removed. So we are free to roam within shopping malls. I mean, this airport is a shopping mall anyway. We are free to roam around without our mask, but I do still see people wearing masks. Well, anyway, so that was my flight with Jetstar, and we've come to the end of our journey today. I'm going to be staying here a few days. As usual, I'll eat my way through, and I have some errands to run before heading off to Malaysia and going back to Australia via the Philippines. So hit me up on Instagram if you want to follow that travel in real time. And yeah, more importantly, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll know every time when one of my videos drops on my channel. Alright, in the meantime, travel safe, and I'll see you around for my next video. Bye!